Hello everyone, today we're going to look at equivalent fractions. So remember how you reduce fractions back in the 4th grade. If we have something like 6 over 15, we make 6 into 2 times 3, 15 into 5 times 3. The 3's cancel because 3 divided by 3 is 1, and we're left with 2/5. We're going to do the same thing, but with rational polynomials. So we have something like x squared minus 1 over x squared minus 2x plus 1. In order to cancel common factors, we have to factor them. So I'm not going to spend too much time on doing the factorization because we did that in another section, but I do want you to, throughout the video, pause it and make sure that you're getting the same factorization. Okay, so our numerator is a difference of two squares, and our denominator is x minus 1 squared. So we have an x minus 1 in both the top and the bottom, so those cancel as a 1. And we're left with x plus 1 over x minus 1. We cannot simplify that further, right? The x's do not cancel, they're not factors. The 1's do not cancel, they're not factors. So remember, we can only cancel common factors, things that are being multiplied. As soon as I've got an addition sign there, these two, x and 1, are terms, not factors. So let's do some more examples. X squared minus 4x plus 1 over x squared minus 4. Our denominator is again a difference of two squares. The top is a really nice trinomial. And we get x minus 2 times x minus 2 on top, x minus 2, x plus 2 on the bottom. And again, we've got an x minus 2 on top and bottom. And we're left with x minus 2 over x plus 2. Again, none of this cancels, right? X minus 2 is a factor, x plus 2 is a factor. They're not the same factor. X minus y over y minus x. So you might think that you can't do anything. You can't factor them, surely, and they're not the same factor. Except we can factor a negative from either the top or the bottom. So I chose to do it from the bottom, but I just as well could have done it from the top too. So if I notice, I've got x minus y and y minus x. Both of the signs are off. I have a positive x, I have a negative x. I have a negative y, I have a positive y. So I'm going to take out the negative so that what I have left are the same. And this is equal to negative 1. So whenever you've got two terms being subtracted, you want to look out for this sort of hidden negative 1. Okay, so we're going to see this come up a few times. So we have 6 minus 3t over 4t cubed minus 8t squared. The top has a GCF of 3 I can take out. The bottom has a GCF of 4t squared. So I factor them out. What I have on top is a 3 and a 2 minus t. On the bottom I have 4 t squared t minus 2. So again I have 2 minus t minus 2. They are off by a negative. So as long as I cancel them as a negative 1, I'm left with 3 over 4t squared and then the negative. The negative can go on top or bottom, right? Typically we see it on top, but you could put it on the bottom if you really wanted to. So let's try another one. 2x squared plus 11x minus 6 over negative 2x squared plus 7x minus 3. To factor these, your leading term is not a 1, so you will have to do the grouping or the AC method. But again, I'm not going to spend time on that, so I want you to pause it, make sure you factor it out, and make sure we get the same thing. So if you factor it, we get 2x minus 1 times x plus 6 on the top, x minus 3, 1 minus 2x on the bottom. Okay. And again, notice 2x minus 1, 1 minus 2x, they're both off by a negative, so they cancel as a negative 1. And again, I choose to put the negative on top, that's typically where it goes. Notice I still have x plus 6 in parentheses, right? That whole numerator is going to be negative. I could distribute it and call it negative x minus 6 over x minus 3. That's perfectly fine, but it's not negative x plus 6. Okay. Let's try another one. 10t squared plus 15t over 30 plus 20t. Both of them have a GCF we can take out. So the numerator's GCF is 5t, the denominator's GCF is 10. Notice we have 2t plus 3, 3 plus 2t, right? Addition's commutative, it's the same thing, so those two cancel. I also have a 5 on top and a 10 on the bottom, so I can cancel a 5, and when I cancel a 5 from the denominator, I still have a 2 left. So what I'm left with on the top is a t, on the bottom a 2. So I have t over 2. The next one, we have 2x squared minus 3x minus 5 over 6x squared minus 11x minus 10. Again, you'll have to do the AC slash grouping method for these guys. There's no GCF, and our leading coefficients are not 1. So hopefully you did it out on your own, and you're getting the same things here. 2x minus 5 times x plus 1 on the top, 2x minus 5 times 3x plus 2 on the bottom. 2x minus 5 is on both of them, so they cancel. And we're left with x plus 1 over 3x plus 2. Again, notice I can't simplify any of this. There's no other factors that they have in common. And then our last one, 8x minus 2x squared over 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus 24x. Okay, so on the top, we have a GCF of 2x. On the bottom, we have a GCF also of 2x, and then it's still a trinomial that you will then have to factor. So you should be getting 2x times 4 minus x on the top, 2x times x minus 4 times x minus 3 on the bottom. The two x's cancel. I have 4 minus x on top. I have x minus 4 on the bottom. Again, they're off by a negative, so they cancel as a negative 1. So be careful here. A lot of people will tell me that this is negative x minus 3. But remember, x minus 3 is in the denominator. Okay, you still have a 1 on top because these things cancel as a 1. These things cancel as a negative 1. So we have negative 1 over x minus 3. So don't forget to see where your remaining factor is. Is it on the top or is it on the bottom? In this case, it's on the bottom, so it has to stay on the bottom. Okay, so that's it with equivalent fractions. You just got to make sure you factor everything correctly. If you have the same factor on top as on the bottom, you can cancel them. You cannot cancel terms. They have to be factors, things that you're multiplying. And then also look out for the negative ones, something like a minus b and b minus a. Okay, so read through the book, try out the homework, and let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.